So Zurina, you didn't just recover, you transformed your life like completely. Can you maybe just take us, you don't have to go into detail, take us back into where your addiction has taken you a little bit, some context, and what was the turning point that made your recovery possible?
So with addiction, I started from a very young age.
Yeah.
I'm talking 11, 12 years old. Peer pressure, wanting to be cool, wanting to fit in,
Yeah.
and that I like the feeling that the heroin gave. I like the feeling the weed gave. I like the feeling that the meth gave. And few years in, I'm a full blown addict.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like there was a preference of a drug. It was just I needed to be intoxicated. I liked it. I liked who I was. I liked the power that I felt, the confidence that I had. I was brave. I was a daredevil. I loved it.
Yeah.
And so I think like 17, I'm on the streets. About 18, I'm in Poolsmoor prison, and that even loved the streets of Cape Town was my playground. I loved it. I loved the freedom. Nobody told you what to do. Anything goes. For me, in all honesty, it felt like a family.
Yeah.
Like, did you see this one? This one just went down there. This one got caught by the police. It was chaos, and I thrived in it.
Okay.
And being a little bit of a kind of a pretty face,
Yeah.
and that I got a lot right.
Yeah.
And I also manipulated a lot of the systems. I was probably in rehab like 6, 7 times.
Okay.
And for me, it was just like, okay, let me just go to please the family. Let me just go because they're on my case too much. Even my final stint in rehab was to please my mom. She's like, don't you want to go? I'm like, you want me to go again? And then I just went. And in all honesty, change happened, and I don't know when.
Yeah.
I know I ran away from rehab. I was naughty. I did unnecessary things in rehab and things. And I woke up one day and there was hatred. There was hatred for the drug. There was a hatred for the lifestyle. There was a hatred for who I was, who I became. And even at the time, I didn't want better. I just know I didn't want drugs.
Yeah.
So although the addictive behaviors, the addictive tendencies were still there, the drug wasn't there.
Yeah.
And with that, I grew. And running away, from rehab every time, I would be there and I would realize I'm back on the streets. I'd realize no home food, no shower, back to the same clothes every day and hair that's all matted in and stuff. And for me, it's like, no, I can't go back to that. Like, I can't. And then I'll just go back to the rehab, like with my tail between my legs. Like, I'm sorry. And that, but never touched drugs. So, yeah.
It's crazy because, not most, every story I've heard thus far, that change, that mental change of I need to stop normally happens, or what I've heard is before treatment. Yours happened in treatment. So you just went, like you said, and at least you can be honest about it. People, I feel are afraid to be honest when it comes to the journey. It's always it has to be this picture perfect, but you saying no, it's not picture perfect. I did not want to come clean. I just went because, like you said, the reason was whether it was to go back home, you didn't want to be on the street.
I told the director, you're wasting your time with me.
Yeah.
My mom is wasting her time. My mother's wasting her money. She does this to me every other year.
Wow. And do you think it was maybe just the fact that you were clean at that time in rehab for that length? I don't know how long it was compared to the other previous rehabs, that you were able to maybe then come to that realization that I can't go back anymore. I don't want to.
There was never clean time. Because either I would use the day after rehab, or I would actually use in the rehab, or I would get the home leave and I would use.
Yeah. I'm talking about the last rehab stint.
I do think it was time, yeah. I do think also it was the motivation that I got there. The classes, the sessions, the things like that actually made me realize also, that there's other things in life.
Yeah.
And as time went on in recovery, that is what I discovered, and that is why I love life, and that is why I love recovery so much, because during this, you you grow and you learn and you see more and you appreciate more.
Yeah.
And addiction is you walk around with blinkers on, you walk
Mhm.
around so close-minded, and then recovery allows you to see all of these things which you've missed. And
Yeah.
obviously you age and you mature and things like that also, which helps. But I mean, like, that is why becoming a social worker was for me like, okay, I get to help people. I get to show them this side of life as opposed to the addiction.
Yeah.
I get to walk the journey with them. I get to sit with them, through the difficult parts, through the good
Yes.
parts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just to have this thing, okay, that's not for the younger, but I don't know if you remember that advert, that MasterCard advert.
Which one?
It used to say, it used to say,
Yes.
if anything else, at least you have MasterCard.
Yes.
That
At
is
the
an
end of
advert.
it, yeah.
And I always say, like for me, that is my work. No amount of money is the fulfillment of when I see somebody walk down the road, if I get someone in a mall, if I get someone in a restaurant,
Yeah.
and they're looking good, and they have a car, they have a girlfriend or a wife, they have a child, they have a wallet, or even a cell phone. For me, it's like, like, this
Yeah.
change, this
Yeah.
growth and stuff. And that is priceless. There are some
Nice.
things money can't buy, but everything else is MasterCard.
You perfectly said that,
That's
isn't
the
it?
ad, ne?
Yeah.
And for me, that is
you've
this
embodied
work,
that.
man. That is
Yeah.
this work. It's priceless
Yeah.
when you get to see a client or ex-client of yours,
Yes.
and they're doing good and they're looking good and things. And sometimes it's not even about material things, it's just that they look good. They're
Yeah.
better compared to the condition they were in when they came. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Just out of interest, like, that last stint in treatment, you were at what age did you find yourself at that time?
So 20.
So 20, and then you went straight into studies after that.
Not straight. So like I say, my recovery was a whole process and things like that. And I was working at the facility. I was helping. I was doing a lot, and it was just, maybe I should study something along this because I'm good at this. I relate well with the clients. I have a lot of experience being so long in programs and then also being on the streets and all of those things.
Plays a big role,
And then academically also, I did fairly well in school.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I should study.
Yeah.
I should study. I should study this.
Okay. So being someone that has the experience of addiction, fully, like you said, you've been on the streets, you've been to prison, you know what it's like, you can relate with anyone basically. And at the same time, you are in the profession as well of helping others. What do you find that the clients that you see that they misunderstand the most about treatment? I'm gonna guess that it's usually the first timers, but what do you find? What's the most common thing that they misunderstand there?
Denial.
Denial about
the realities, about where they currently find themselves.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people come in very bad situations, be it with the family, be it in a marriage, be it at work, and all of that. And they still
minimizing it.
And they still feel they're in control, and they still feel they can manipulate their way out of it and stuff like that. They still think they're on top of the situation.
So that is your job to try and break down that so that they can somehow.
Like, listen, this is not the reality of your situation. And the other thing is also like who are you? So a lot of them have lost the characteristics, personalities, models, values along the way, and you need to rebuild yourself. And a lot of them want to hold on to certain things because it helped them in the past. Survival skills, all of those things. And you can't. You can't have your bread buttered both sides, like I would say. You can't want to be off the drugs but still have the addictive behaviors and patterns and things.
Yeah. Most definitely.
I tell you, there's a lot of contributing factors which I've over the years, I mean, I can highlight a few like the traumas, unresolved childhood issues, PTSDs.
Yeah.
And then you have the other smaller ones like entitlement, boredom, the denial that I mentioned, the impatience, the impulsivities,
Yeah.
and that. And then one of my favorite ones at the moment is comorbidities. So comorbidities is when they have the addiction problem and they have another disease. So
Okay.
they'll have depression,
Yeah.
anxiety, PPD, bipolar, and they have that. So it's a very fine line as to
Treatment.
is my impulsivity, for example, ADHD,
Or is it
or
addiction?
is it my the addict?
Yeah.
So that's like my
Wow.
new challenge now at the moment.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Then what would you do for the client that you see this client walking in and you see Zurina from the past? Okay, this person does not want to be here. They're just here to waste time. What would you do to get the message across to that person as you would maybe yourself back in the day? Or do you just trust in the process, like what you went through?
I would say both. I would
Yeah.
say both. I do give the person the space
Yeah.
to come to the realization on their own
Yeah.
that they need
Nice.
this.
Okay.
They need to change what has been working for them and what hasn't been working for them.
Yeah.
The reality that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And here along the way, I do people always come and say, "What should I do in this situation?" And I blatantly tell them, "Listen, I can't give you advice.
Yeah.
I'm
Can't tell
here
them
to
what to do.
assist. I'm here to guide. I'm here to monitor. I'm here to evaluate and analyze the situation with you."
Yes.
Because in university, we did the person-centered approach.
Yeah.
So everything comes from the person itself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, don't touch that switch. You walk out here, what you going to do?
Touch the switch.
And then if you do, what can I do about it?
Yeah. Yeah. And also, you told me to do it.
You know what I mean? So I can address with you the switch, the dangers of it, what's going to happen if you should touch it and things
Yeah.
like that. Then by all means, if you leave.
Yeah.
You
I see
know?
the mental side behind that. I mean, what would happen from that is I would actually then be able to learn from myself decisions and so
Yes,
when I'm
person-centered.
oh, is that the person-centered?
That's a person-centered
Okay.
approach, yeah, from Paul
Nice.
Rogers. Because at the end of the day, I also try to make them self-actualize that, not a lot of people is going to go home with you. The counselors are going to go with you. The social workers are going to go home with you and everything. And then you need to do this on your own.
Okay.
So while you're in a facility, and that is what we're trying to do at First Step, is provide the necessary skills, the necessary coping mechanisms, the necessary tools. So when you leave, when you go back to your environment, when you go back to your situation, you're equipped for it. You're equipped for that situation so that you don't again turn to the drugs or turn to bad addictive behaviors and stuff.
Yeah.
To kind of cope. And that, and First Step was just a one of a kind facility. If you look at all the different types of facilities that is in Cape Town, that is in the Western Cape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You learn and you try to come up with a program and you try to come up with structure that can accommodate
that individual.
Yeah, and what you've learned and what you've experienced over the years.
Yeah.
And that, so the program and the structure and everything that we've put together here at First Step, accommodates for all of that.
Nice. So it sounds like it's super individualized treatment where you take the person's story, like you say, the history, what do they need to deal with. It's not one shoe fits all type of situation. At First Step.
Yes, and it can't be like that, and that is why we try to do an individual treatment plan for everybody.
Yeah.
We try to do the one-on-one sessions, the group sessions that can cater for the needs identified in the individual plan also.
Yes.
So that again we can equip you with the necessary skills and tools for the situation outside.
Yeah.
Because remember, everybody comes in, with their own issues, with their contributing factors to the usage and things. And that needs to be highlighted.
Yeah. So what does your day-to-day look like here at First Step? So of course you do your one-on-one sessions. I'm assuming you would be the first contact when it comes to the what do they call it? Screenings, assessments, maybe, and you're the one that makes the decisions for them, at least which path they would take, what sessions they need or to attend and stuff. I don't know, I'm assuming you need to tell me what is your day to day.
So yes, first contact, the initial assessment.
Yeah.
I do have colleagues that also do assessments
Okay.
and things, and
Okay.
then I do the admission, and
Okay.
then from the admission I would do the IDP,
Individual.
individual
Okay.
treatment plan, and from there I would determine. But in the meantime, you must remember they may be detoxing, they may be going through their orientations and all of that. So they do have contact with other staff members. So when we do our MDT, our multidisciplinary team, we all give our little input as to what we observed, what we picked up, what we heard, what was said, and things like that, and we draw and make the adjustments to the IDP.
Yeah, of course.
And that is just also the treatment, because I don't see the client for all the time I'm at work.
Of course not.
So maybe the counselor will, or the RA will, or the facilitator will, or maybe the director had a meeting or a little consultation with the family members, and he knows maybe some information. So that is why the multidisciplinary team is so important, so that we can exchange, obviously confidential, those little bits that assist all around with the client's program and that, because I can't sit with all the information.
No. Yeah.
And then you don't know why this person's acting out, for example.
Of course, yeah.
So there has to be communication all around and things like that.
Okay. So yeah, man, that leads me to almost by the end. You basically answering all the questions. So but that's quiet. That's cool. That is perfect. I mean, every single question here, there are many rehabs or rehab options out there. What makes First Step different? You just said exactly that. You are now senior social worker at First Step. What does your role look like? We just did that. I think, yeah, man. Is there anything else that I missed out that is important for the viewer out there to know? Whether maybe regarding your role here at First Step, what patients go through here from your POV, I would say.
Okay, so when I came for my interview and I saw this building, it's like love at first sight.
Yeah, of course, same.
Yeah. So coming from being an addict, being in different facilities, working at different facilities, from the lowest to the highest in Cape Town.
Yeah.
This is what I would picture a rehab to be. This is how I would have recovered nicely.
Nice.
You know? Yes, we don't want to make it too comfortable. Yes, we don't want to make it 5-star. And yes, we don't want to seem like a holiday.
Yeah. But it looks like it. But anyway.
Beautiful, yeah. But you also want to recover under very good conditions.
Yeah, of course.
You see, it makes recovery much more, I wouldn't say quicker, but less stumbling blocks, man. And I loved Pinelands also when I got here. The quietness, the serenity, the tranquility. Like you can literally think and breathe at the same time, and your thoughts is not mumble jumbled. There's a bit of clarity, and this building is so peaceful.
Yeah, definitely.
There's so much space. If you need to do a journal, if you need to write a life story, if you need to do some homework, there's space that you can go sit and you can do it in peace.
Yeah.
Where nobody's shouting, where nobody's on you and stuff like that. So with First Step, the space, I tell you, the space, I love it.
I'm smiling because that's exactly what I was thinking when I first came in, is the energy, not just the space, but the energy within every little spot that you guys have here. It's lovely. It's lovely.
It's very calming. It's very peaceful, from the hustle and the bustle from the outside.
Yeah.
From the hustle of the bustle of our lives, from the hustle of the bustle of our realities, and you can come here and you can recover.
Yeah.
And the building and the area allows you to do that also very nicely.
Zurina, before we end, from my side, thank you for the deep dive into your work that you do here. Is there anything that you would want the viewer, maybe they are struggling or a loved one that's struggling, A last message that we can end off with for them, what would it be?
What are they struggling with addiction?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Homeless.
so I've got this two sayings. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
Nothing changes if nothing changes.
Wow. Something's got
You
to
cannot
change.
sit in your room. You cannot sit with a pipe in your hand. You cannot sit with a glass in your hand or bottle and expect change.
Yeah.
You cannot sit there and pray to God. You have to take the first step. And
Yeah.
that's the name. You have to take that first step towards life, towards your recovery.
Yes.
You know? And my second favorite saying is let go and let God.
Okay.
Sometimes we're in really bad situations and we still feel we're in control.
Yeah. Yeah.
We don't want to hand it over. We don't want to surrender. And that, you know, but you have to. And again, it comes back to the point of the first step. You have to take it. So if it's in my situation where it was you were nudged by the family, if you're here to please the family, if you were here to, give them some peace,
do something.
It still boils down to you having to take that step.
Nice, yeah. That's the first step. Thank you so much, Zurina, for that.
You're
That was
welcome.
powerful.